The worst time I had a hypo, it was really, really bad. Concluded from that experiment. Should we check what my glucose is now? Interesting turn of events, which I was told is really good in sustaining sugar levels. Glucose going low, the end of an era. I've only got one more day of my Libre, and I just kind of wanted to show you what happens when I eat something with high GI, or what happens to you when you eat something that has a high GI. If you are new to this and want to see what is actually happening in the body, then I want to be able to show you that. Purposely giving myself a hypo isn't the smartest move. Weetabix is a strong contender. Weetabix was the first thing that made me realise that I was having hypos, because I used to have Weetabix every morning and now I can't. I was told that if I had whole milk with my Weetabix and maybe some nuts, then that might slow it down, but I don't like whole milk. Instead, I think we're gonna go for a classic jam on toast. All throughout these last couple of weeks, you have seen me manage to keep my sugars predominantly in the green and not hypo too much, and that is purely because I have been very aware of what I am eating. So this video is going to be about having a hypo and then working out the best way to fix it and then sustain it and keep it back in that green. I feel like that would be really useful for some people, especially if you're quite new to this. So let's figure it out together. I'm excited. Am I excited to give myself a hypo? Going to put peanut butter on one side of it, because peanut butter and jam is just like the dog's bollocks. Usually I would put the peanut butter on first because it acts as a butter. But alas, this is a last minute decision, so I have no idea how this is gonna go. Ooh, yeah, always put the peanut butter on first. Let's check, see what we are as of today. As of this morning, I'm a 5.7 at 8:55, and what we're going to do after I finish eating, I'm going to set a timer for 2 hours. I think for me it usually takes about 2 hours for my blood sugars to drop, so solely for the purpose of making this a fair run, I'm going to use normal semi-skimmed milk. It's bearable, isn't it? Half with peanut butter, half without. Let's see what happens, let's experiment. It's so good. I've just finished. Let's have a look at what we are now. Ooh, we're 7.2 already. Okay, so 2 hours from now will be about 11:15. Oh my Jesus. What a late day. Start to day. It's fine. It's fine. It's okay, Kate. It's okay. 11:15. Let's see what it's doing. It might even be before then. In fact, let's set a stopwatch then. Ta-da! Let's just see how long it takes. Interesting experiment. Love it. So I started feeling things start to drop about 5-10 minutes ago, and I kept scanning the Libre and it kept saying sensor error, and I was like, really? On the day that I'm inducing a hypo, you're gonna give me a sensor error? But I've just scanned it and you can see we are at 3.4. Let me just go back to my logbook. That went up to 12.4. I'd say maybe half an hour after that, because I started feeling things about 15 minutes ago, and it kept saying sensor error, but there we go. Yeah, hands are shaking. But yeah, I just wanted to show you what would happen if I was to have raspberry jam on toast, even with peanut butter, even with brown bread. I have gone low, and that is all because of the raspberry jam and the sugar in that. I do feel things are starting to crash. Should we check it on the glucose meter as well? The AccuCheck Aviva sensor meter. I always have it on the lowest setting. I always just get so nervous about doing these. It takes me a while. It's fine. Literally did not feel that at all. What is wrong with me? Every time I'm like, oh, I feel like I've gone bright red because I've been so anticipating that. You see, and then got blood. Sucks up the blood, and now it will give me a reading of 3.6. So Libre says 3.4. Check it now, see what it says. 3.2. I'm gonna fix this now. I'm gonna have 2 jelly babies and see how much 2 jelly babies brings me up by. Usually I would have about 4 or 5 jelly babies. Well, actually, usually I do scoff half the bag because when you're hypoing, you just need sugar. You feel so shit. I mean, I have had hypos where I have not had the energy to stand. I've had to be guided into a seat because I just can't move. The worst time I had a hypo, it was really, really bad. At the time I was a dog walker and I was walking a dog and I started to feel that kind of drop. I'm sure people who has hypos will understand that, but you start to feel the crash sort of coming and things starting to get a little bit weaker. And I was starting to get really hot and sweaty and I was walking this dog. Thankfully, we had turned back by then and we were on the way home. And I just remember walking and I just started seeing like flash. It was really dangerous. I had jelly babies in the car at that point, but after that I was like taking food with me. Right at the end of the walk, I was seeing like these flashes of colour. I was just feeling really, really dizzy and weak. And of course the dog's like pulling my arm. You know, that's the worst thing when you have a hypo, is you using more energy because your energy is just dropping. And I got the dog back and it was a rainy day and I had to wipe the paws down. I thought I might have to crawl out of there. It was really bad. But anyway, I got to my car and I think I had like a whole pack of jelly babies because I was in such a bad state. From then, I always took food out with me. So now we have hopefully brought it up a little bit. The reason why I had 2 jelly babies and not like 5 or 6 or the whole pack is because it would bring my sugars way back up again and then drop that down again. What I'm doing with 2 jelly babies, the theory is, and we're gonna check it, see if I'm right, well, I might not be, I might have to delete this footage and you'll never see it again. 2 jelly babies, I'm hoping just to bring it up just slightly, and then before it drops back down, I'm gonna have one of these Eat Natural fruit and nut protein packed with salted caramel and peanuts. I've mentioned this in previous videos of what I eat in a day with reactive hypos. I've always been a little bit confused with what to eat after a hypo so I don't drop again. When I asked the diabetes nurse, she said, oh, you know, all the stuff on the low glycemic index and stuff like nuts or an apple and stuff. And I'm like, I feel like I'm gonna need a bit more sustainability than that. And I love snacks and I just wanna see if this works. So these are really good. I can really recommend these. Should we check what my glucose is now? Okay, it's 3.5 with the arrow going, so it's sort of stabling out now. I've now finished my bar. Let me check how we're doing now. I do feel a little bit better. And we are stable at 4.7. So let's see if I hyper again. It'd be interesting to see if these Eat Natural bars will prevail. I think we're maybe about half hour later. Yeah, now we're on 7.6. The arrow kind of going diagonally. I don't know what that means. It will be interesting now to see whether it drops down or whether that Eat Natural bar is going to save me. Timer is going off. 2 hours after I have eaten and we're still at 7.4, even though I do feel a little bit hungry. Interesting turn of events. It's currently midday and we are going low again. I felt like I've been going low for the last half hour and I kept checking it. It was like 6, 7, it's fine, the arrow going straight. And I was like, nah, I'm not buying it. I feel like I am gonna go low. And lo and behold, I'm so funny. We're at 3.7. I'm just checking the low glycemic index. And grapes is one of them. Also apples, dried apricots, chocolate milk. Oh, ice cream is actually low GI. I didn't know that. I think most dairy products then are low GI, so that's really interesting. Oh, I don't really like milk on its own. I do have that protein milk, so maybe we could try a bit of that. I think what I've concluded from that experiment, 1, those Eat Natural bars ain't gonna sustain you, or at least not for me. 2, I only need 2 jelly babies. I wouldn't take my advice as gospel because I feel like everyone's blood sugars would react differently. This is great because I get to do this experiment again. To be fair, it is nearly lunchtime. I have leftover pasta for lunch today, so I could just have that. Tell you what, I had about 5 grapes. Now I'm gonna have that protein milk that I had the other day that I said didn't taste that nice. I assume it's like milk. It says it's milk drink. I mean, it's drinkable. I wouldn't get it again. Oatly is the best one by far. It's like, you know when you have Cocoa Pops and the leftover milk at the bottom of the Cocoa Pops? That's what it tastes like. I'm like, how does this work? How is this magic? I'll be back. We're going low again. I am starting to feel hypo-ish. In fact, I've started feeling about half an hour ago. I checked it and it was fine, but I'm just heating up some leftover pasta. Gonna have that for lunch. I reckon after the pasta, it will definitely stable out after that. So stay tuned. Just checked my sugars again. Definitely 4.1. Glucose going low. So I've just added a little bit of salad on. There is pasta underneath there somewhere. This is actually like a full main meal, so I don't know if that's going to be too much, but we'll see. And add a little bit of mayo on there, and I've just got water. I can't bother to make a tea, so there you go. So because my memory is virtually non-existent and I forget everything in life, I completely forgot to update you. So this is the update. About 40 minutes later, the pasta salad lunch took me up to 10.8, which ultimately sustained me for the rest of the day. So that's decent. It was the same low GI pasta dish I made in last week's video. If you wanted to check that out, that would obviously be in last week's video. About an hour after lunch, I had this Baby Bell, which is an absolute classic. Do not come for me. Baby Bells are a classic. I would show you my sugars, but I'm filming on my phone because my camera's and battery is dead. But my sugars are 7.1 or 7.2. I've literally just scanned it and I've forgotten already. I think we went up to about 10 point something, but now I'm just feeling a little bit peckish, so I'm gonna have this Baby Bell. And because cheese has a low GI and high fat, that beauty ain't gonna give me a spike or a drop. In fact, I stayed stable for the next few hours, ranging from 6.1 to 5.3. Okay, so I've just checked my sugars. Again, I'm filming on my phone, so I can't show you, but I'll include a screenshot. It was 5.5. It is almost 4:30, and I'm a little bit peckish, so I'm gonna have one of these. Now, I've been told by someone who has CF-related diabetes that this will not make you hypo. So maybe I should have tried this this morning instead. 100% whole grain oats. It is a little bit later now, it's 6:20. Give you a little bit of an update on the graph. I had a Nature Valley bar earlier, which I was told is really good in sort of sustaining sugar levels after having sweets or something. So I thought I would test that out. Even though I wasn't going low, I was just really peckish. Let's just check it. In range. Tonight I am actually having something a little bit different for dinner because my brother is coming round, so we're gonna do Kate's dip, which is a speciality of mine, and we're gonna do stuffed peppers with feta and mozzarella and rice and stuff, and I have actually got some tiger bread as well. It's gonna be a fun evening. I'm really excited. So last night, like I said, I had the classic Kate's dip, also with roasted peppers, with rice and feta and stuff like that. And interestingly, I also had tiger bread and cheese. I gotta lie, that graph is pretty steady. That is just like a zig-zag. Wow. Another highly intellectual explanation, Kate. Well done, but that doesn't quite explain what my glucose levels did it? So here are the proper numbers from that dinner. I went up to 7.3, then to 6.8, and then stayed stable at a 5.8. Pretty good if you ask me. Yes, don't know why I'm bragging about that. It just came out like that, and I don't know if I re-record this again. Do I? I don't know. Considering like I had crisps and Doritos, I feel like that's the most stable it's been after a dinner ever. So maybe the trick is to have Kate's dip and stuffed peppers. I literally only have 2 hours left of this Libre. A little bit nervous about the Libre coming off. We're not gonna think about that until it actually happens. Hopefully this time it's not traumatic. That would be nice. I don't think it's supposed to bleed when you take it out, but it's just the memory of last time of it dripping down my arm. But anyway, for now, let's make some lunch. Ooh, with a cup of Oatly. 24 minutes until the sensor ends. The end of an era. Did kind of get used to it and forget about it quite a few times. And I'll be back in 20 minutes. Blum, blum, blum. I've got 4 minutes left of my sensor. 100% gonna be missing checking my sugars every now and then to see what it's doing. We definitely weren't the best of friends when it went on. Genuinely, I have loved experimenting with different foods, with having different drinks, crisps, different snacks to see what was working and what was not working. So
I'm a friend. You could be the one.
Considering at the beginning of my journey, I was like, never again, can never do this again. And now I'm like, oh, but it's gonna be so sad to see you go. The sensor has ended. I've come prepared, I've washed my hands, I've got waterproof plasters here, I've got kitchen roll, I've got 999 on speed dial. I'm not taking any chances with this. Oh man, I feel so sick. I don't want to know what is underneath there. Am I making this to be bigger than it should be? Do I just pull it? Oh, okay, fun. It's starting to lift. Oh! Okay, maybe that's not the needle, but that's the same sort of size. It's a little bit bendier. The needle doesn't stay in your arm, but this other long ass sensor does. It's a little bit more bendy. It's not as sharp as a needle would be. I was sad to see it go, but now I'm just like, yeah, never again. I know I'm being a wuss with this, but I just have a very long life fear of things being stuck in my arm and just staying there for a couple of weeks. I shouldn't feel the need to invalidate that because it's a very real trigger. I thought the sensor would be like a quarter of that size. I'm glad I didn't know that because it would have just made things worse. So I'm just gonna say, F off, F you, never f***ing again.